She looked me dead in the eye and said, "The master bedroom is ours now. I'm Vanessa Miller, and I'd just been thrown out of my own house." What my daughter-in-law, Vanessa, didn't know was that I'd been quietly documenting every insult, every dismissive comment, and every moment she treated me like garbage in my own house. She thought she was dealing with a broke old man who had nowhere else to go. She was about to discover that sometimes the quietest people carry the biggest surprises and the heaviest consequences. I just smiled, picked up my coffee mug, and said, "We'll see about that." That simple sentence would cost her everything. If you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to this channel and let me know where you're watching from, especially if you've ever had to deal with entitled family members. Let me tell you how a woman who thought she married into poverty discovered she just insulted her way out of an $11.8 million inheritance. It started 8 months ago when my beloved wife Martha passed away, February 18th, 2024. The worst day of my life. Vanessa moved in with my son David that March. They said they wanted to help me through this difficult time. I should have known better. Within 2 weeks, the comments started. "Frank, maybe you should think about getting some nicer clothes," she said one morning, eyeing my $12 discount store polo shirt. "People might think we can't afford to dress you properly." I was loading my 2018 Toyota Camry, 142,000 miles, runs like a dream. She pulled up in her brand new $89,000 SUV. "Seriously, Frank, that embarrassing car in our driveway?" She shook her head. "What will the neighbors think?" Our driveway, in my house that I'd owned since 1979. But here's what Vanessa didn't see. Every time she made one of these comments, I'd go to my study and write it down. Date, time, exact words. My late wife, Martha, always taught me, document everything, Frank. Truth has a way of mattering later. The third week, Vanessa decided my daily routine needed improvement. "You can't just sit around reading newspapers and watching old movies," she announced. "It's depressing. It makes the whole house feel like a nursing home." I'd been reading the local paper every morning for 36 years. Same chair, same coffee mug. Martha used to bring me refills and kiss the top of my head. "Maybe you should find some activities outside the house," Vanessa continued. "Senior centers have programs." Senior centers for the man who had built Miller Industries from nothing. But Vanessa couldn't know that. She saw the thrift store clothes, the old car, the quiet routine. She saw exactly what I wanted her to see. The breaking point came on a Tuesday, April 15th, tax day. I was making breakfast when Vanessa walked into the kitchen wearing her expensive designer leggings and carrying a $300 designer purse. "Frank, we need to talk about your contribution to this household." "Contribution to my household? What kind of contribution?" I asked quietly. "Financial contribution. David and I are carrying all the expenses while you just exist here." She gestured around the kitchen like it belonged to her. "The mortgage, utilities, groceries, everything. You're basically a charity case." Those were her exact words, charity case. I nodded slowly. "I see. I mean, I get that you're grieving, but Martha's been gone 2 months. At some point, you need to start pulling your weight or find somewhere else to live." Find somewhere else to live in my house. That evening, I called my lawyer, Catherine Ross. Martha and I had used her firm for 23 years. "Catherine, I need you to prepare some documents for me." "What kind of documents, Frank?" "The kind that remind people who owns what." But I wasn't ready to play that card yet. Vanessa was still showing me exactly who she was, and I was still documenting every revelation. By May, she'd moved from suggestions to demands. The newspaper subscription was wasteful. My morning coffee routine was taking up too much counter space. My evening walks around the neighborhood were wandering around like a lost old man. Each insult got carefully logged in my notebook, but what Vanessa didn't realize was that every time she called me a burden, every time she rolled her eyes at my cheap clothes, every time she treated me like an unwelcome guest, she was actually answering a test she was failing spectacularly. Martha had always said, "You can tell everything about someone's character by how they treat people who can't fight back." Vanessa thought I couldn't fight back. She was about to learn otherwise. The house Vanessa was so eager to redecorate held 45 years of memories with Martha. Every room told a story. The kitchen, where Martha taught me to make her famous apple pie. The living room, where we'd watched David take his first steps. The master bedroom, where we'd held each other through good times and bad. Where I'd whispered, "I love you" to her one last time before the illness took her away. This wasn't just about property or money. This was about honoring the woman who'd made me a better man for 4.5 decades. Martha Miller had been the heart of our family. She'd balanced my quiet nature with her warm spirit. When I sold Miller Industries in 2019 for $11.8 million, she'd made me promise something. "Frank," she'd said, holding my hands in our kitchen, "money changes people, but it doesn't have to change us. We'll live the same way we always have. Simple, honest, kind." So we kept driving our older cars, kept shopping at the same stores, kept living in the same house we'd bought as newlyweds for $67,500 in 1979. The only difference was the bank account, the investment portfolio, and the fact that I'd quietly bought 5 more houses in our cul-de-sac over the years as they came up for sale. But Martha made me promise something else, too. "Don't let anyone take advantage of your kindness, Frank, especially family. Sometimes the people closest to us need the clearest boundaries." Now, 8 months after losing her, I was watching those boundaries get trampled daily. Vanessa didn't just want my bedroom, she wanted to erase Martha's presence from the house entirely. "These old family photos are so dated," she'd said, pointing to our wedding pictures. "We should update the decor, make it more modern." She wanted to donate Martha's china cabinet to charity. "It's taking up space we could use for something functional." That china cabinet held our wedding dishes, the ones Martha's mother had given us. And the final straw came when Vanessa decided the master bedroom needed her touch. "Frank, I think it would be healthier for you to sleep in the guest room," she announced one evening in early May. "Being in that bedroom surrounded by Martha's things, it's not helping you move on." Move on, like Martha was a phase I was supposed to outgrow. "The guest room is perfectly comfortable," Vanessa continued, "and David and I need the space. We're thinking about starting a family soon." Starting a family in the bedroom where Martha and I raised ours. That night, I sat in my study looking at Martha's picture on my desk. "What would you want me to do, Marty?" I whispered. The answer came clear as day. Martha wouldn't want her memory erased. She wouldn't want our home turned into Vanessa's personal makeover project. And she definitely wouldn't want me sleeping on a couch in my own house. But more than that, Martha would want Vanessa to learn what real character looked like. She'd want our son, David, to understand the difference between entitlement and respect. The confrontation Vanessa had been building toward finally arrived on Memorial Day weekend. I was in the living room reading when she walked in with David. They'd been whispering in the kitchen for 20 minutes, never a good sign. "Dad," David started, "Vanessa and I have been talking. We think it would be good for everyone if we made some changes around here, starting with sleeping arrangements. The master bedroom is really better suited for a couple. You're just one person. You don't need all that space." "It's my bedroom," I replied calmly. Vanessa's face hardened. "Actually, Frank, this is our home now. David and I are the ones paying the bills, handling the mortgage, keeping everything running." "Our home? Mortgage? What mortgage?" I asked. David looked confused. "Dad, the house payment. You know, the monthly mortgage payment." "Son," I said quietly, "this house was paid off in 1994.
Silence. Vanessa recovered first. "Well, there are still expenses. Property taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance. We're covering all of that while you contribute nothing." "How much are the property taxes?" I asked. "What does it matter?" Vanessa snapped. "The point is we're paying them and you're not." $6,800 a year, I said. "Property taxes on this house are $6,800 annually. Insurance is $4,200. I know because I've been paying them for 45 years. Michael's face went pale. Dad, are you saying? I'm saying your wife doesn't know what she's talking about. Vanessa's voice got sharp. Don't talk to me like I'm stupid, Frank. I know David is working his tail off to keep this house running while you sit around feeling sorry for yourself, and I know you haven't contributed $1 to this household since Martha died. That's not exactly true, I said. I stood up, walked to my study, and came back with a folder. Grocery bill from the market last week, $137. Paid cash. I showed her the receipt. One grocery run doesn't count. Electric bill, March through May, $318. Total. Another receipt. New tires for David's car in April, $612. Another receipt. The refrigerator repair when it broke down 3 weeks ago, $295. David stared at the receipts. Dad, this water heater receipt, it says paid in cash, $2,800? I prefer cash for contractors. It was convenient. Where are you getting this money? Vanessa stammered. I have some savings. Some savings? Her voice cracked a little. Frank, normal people don't just keep thousands of dollars in cash lying around, unless you're spending Martha's life insurance money. That's not sustainable, Frank. It's not life insurance, I said. This is exactly what I'm talking about, David, she yelled. Your father is being secretive and weird about money. We need to establish some boundaries. This is our house now, and your father needs to understand his place in it. My place in it? I looked at my son. David wouldn't meet my eyes. So let me understand this correctly, I said slowly. You want me to give up the master bedroom in my own house because you think I can't afford to keep living here? It's not your house anymore, Frank. Martha is gone. You're living here because we're letting you live here. David finally spoke up. Dad, maybe Vanessa is right about the bedroom. I mean, it might help you move forward. Start fresh. Start fresh. My own son was siding with her. That's when I realized the documentation phase was over. It was time for Vanessa to meet the real Frank Miller. All right, I said quietly. Let me think about it. Vanessa smiled like she'd won, but what she didn't see was me slipping Catherine Ross's business card into my shirt pocket. Tuesday morning, Vanessa found me in the kitchen. Frank, I hope you thought about what we discussed. We'd like to start moving our things into the master bedroom this weekend. Of course, I said. Just give me a few days to go through Martha's belongings. What Vanessa didn't notice was the bank envelope sitting on the counter next to my coffee mug. It contained my quarterly investment statement showing $8.6 million in liquid assets. She also didn't notice me leaving my laptop open on the kitchen table, displaying my portfolio, $3.2 million in blue chip stocks. Wednesday morning, I got a call from Catherine's office. Mr. Miller, this is Jennifer, confirming your appointment for Thursday at 2:15 p.m. I was standing in the kitchen. Vanessa was nearby. Yes, that works perfectly, I said, ensuring my voice carried. Please tell Catherine I have all the documents she requested, the property deeds, the business sale contract, everything. And remind her we'll need copies for the family meeting. The coffee maker stopped running. Vanessa was listening. That's right, $11.8 million. Yes, that's the full sale amount from Miller Industries. Vanessa turned around, her face pale. Thursday at 2:15 then. Thank you. I hung up and smiled. Sorry about that. Business call. Business call, she asked quietly. What was that about property deeds? Oh, just some real estate stuff. Catherine handles all my legal affairs. When you own multiple properties, there's always paperwork. Multiple properties? Vanessa gripped her mug. How many properties do you own, Frank, in this neighborhood? 6 houses, sometimes 7 depending on the market. She sat down hard. Frank, are you saying you own most of our cul-de-sac? Not most of it, just the good properties. Anyway, Catherine wants to review everything before the family meeting. Make sure all the beneficiary paperwork is updated. Beneficiary paperwork. That was the phrase that shattered her world. Saturday arrived with perfect weather for our neighborhood's annual Memorial Day barbecue. I was carrying Martha's famous potato salad when Vanessa intercepted me. Frank, we need to talk before we go in there about this whole lawyer meeting thing. Let's just enjoy the barbecue, I said. We can discuss family business later. The party was in full swing. Sarah Jenkins from 2 houses down waved us over, Bob Williams, our host, approached with a drink. "Frank, I keep meaning to ask you about that rental on Oak Street. My cousin's looking for a place." "Property on Oak Street." Vanessa's head snapped toward us. "Sorry, Bob, lease doesn't expire until next March." "Damn, well, let me know. You've always been a fair landlord." "Landlord," Vanessa whispered. "How many rental properties?" "Just the 5 active rentals, plus the 2 I'm renovating," I told Bob. That's when Vanessa made her second major mistake. Instead of asking me privately, she decided to control the narrative publicly. "You know what?" she announced to the group, her voice carrying. "I think Frank's been having some memory issues lately. Sometimes he gets confused. Like today, he's talking about owning rental properties and having meetings with lawyers. Yesterday, he claimed he paid for our water heater in cash, $2,800. She laughed nervously. "I mean, where would he get that money? He lives on Social Security." She was telling everyone I had dementia. It's sad, really. He gets these grandiose ideas about having money. Michael and I are trying to help him transition to a more realistic living situation. We're even letting him stay in our house while we figure out the next steps. Our house. She just claimed ownership in front of the neighbors. "We're probably going to need to look into assisted living soon," she added with fake sympathy. The crowd went silent. Sarah Jenkins from 2 houses down stepped forward. "Vanessa, I think you need to stop talking." "No, Sarah, you don't see the confusion, the delusions."
Frank, Sarah turned to me. Would you like to tell everyone what's really going on? I looked at my neighbors, people who had known me for decades. Actually, I said quietly, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding is that Vanessa thinks she knows anything about my financial situation. I walked to my car and retrieved the folder Catherine had prepared. Since Vanessa has made this a public discussion, I think everyone should know the facts. First fact, the property deed for this house, purchased in 1979, mortgage paid off in 1994. Current owner, Frank Miller, sole owner. Vanessa went gray. Second fact, employment status. Miller Industries, sold in 2019 for $11.8 million. Net proceeds after tax, $9.4 million. Bob nearly dropped his drink. Third fact, current liquid assets, $8.6 million. Investment portfolio, $3.2 million. Fourth fact, in addition to my home, I own 5 other properties in this neighborhood, including the one next door. "This is impossible," Vanessa stammered. "You shop at discount stores. You drive a 12-year-old car." "That's the 5th fact," I said, pulling out a photo of Martha. "My wife believed money shouldn't change who you are. She made me promise we'd live with humility. But she also made me promise never to let anyone take advantage of our kindness." Just then, Catherine Ross pulled into the driveway. "Hello, Frank. I have those documents." She looked at Vanessa. "Mrs. Miller, are you aware your father-in-law has been paying for your groceries, utilities, and repairs, totaling $11,000 over the past 3 months?" David finally spoke. "Dad, is this all true?" "Every word." "Dad, I had no idea. Vanessa told me you were struggling." "You didn't know because you never asked." I turned to Catherine. "Please proceed." "The updated will removes Vanessa Miller as a beneficiary," Catherine stated. "Additionally, the trust structure ensures that any family member demonstrating disrespect forfeits inheritance rights. Finally," she handed me a document, "this is a 30-day notice to quit and surrender possession of the premises, eviction notice, effective June 1st. You have 30 days to find alternative housing." Vanessa collapsed into a chair. "Frank, please, I didn't understand. I made a mistake." "Yes, you made several, but the biggest mistake was assuming quiet people are weak people." "What about David?" she whispered. I looked at my son. "That depends on him." "Dad," David said, his voice shaking, "I should have asked questions. I screwed up." I pulled out a lease agreement. "This is for the house next door. Market rate is $1,500 a month. If you want to separate yourself from Vanessa's decision-making and rebuild our relationship, you'll rent it.
But if you choose to stay married to someone who humiliates your father, you'll find housing elsewhere. I, I'll take the lease, David said firmly. Michael, we're a team, Vanessa cried. Teams don't lie to each other, Vanessa. Teams don't abuse family members. The news spread fast. Vanessa was put on administrative leave at her job when her boss heard she tried to evict an elderly widower. By Sunday, she was moving into a tiny studio apartment. David helped her move, then came back to sit on the porch with me.
The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the lawn Martha loved so much. We sat there, watching the fireflies, a silence settling between us that wasn't heavy with unspoken words anymore, but light with understanding. I told him about how his mother used to save coupons even after we made our first million, just because she loved the thrill of a deal. I wanted him to understand that wealth isn't about what you spend, but about the freedom to be exactly who you are without apology. "Dad," he asked, "are we going to be okay?" "Better than okay," I said. "We're going to be honest." 6 months later, David and I have coffee every Tuesday. He's thriving in the rental house, managing my properties with kindness and fairness. He and Vanessa divorced in November. I still sleep in the master bedroom. I still keep Martha's picture on my nightstand. And I still live by her principles. Vanessa thought she could take advantage of an old man's grief. Instead, she learned that sometimes the quietest people carry the heaviest consequences.